Thank you to Bai for sponsoring today's video. Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video, we will finally be doing my room tour. So I've been putting this video off for ages, but now it is finally time to show you my anime figure slash collection room slash study. It's kind of taken me 2 years to put the room together, and I've been collecting for give or take like 10 years. So a lot of my art, knickknacks, anime figures, manga, everything. It's been a collection that I've slowly grown in the last 10 years. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So this is the wall that I film in front of typically for my videos. So we have a bit of like a showcase wall, which we'll get to that. But I do have the classic IKEA Billy bookcases. So I have one tall one and then these 3 shorter ones, just because I did want to have a ton of wall space. So we'll get started on the left and go through all the figures here. All right, so starting on the top shelf, we have my ladies. So most of my B-style bunny figures are here. I did sell quite a lot of them in my recent unhaul. And then I basically have a ton of ladies that are all like serving. We've also got guts up there just to protect them from any like prying eyes or anything. Even with all the bunny figures here, I think my favorite on this shelf has to be the iconic Chio bunny by Max Factory. She is gorgeous. Moving down to the next shelf. By the way, I am standing on a stool. I'm not like secretly 7 foot tall. On this shelf, we kind of have some of my edgy figures. On the left here, we have some of my favorite Kotobukiya horror by shoujo figures. I love this line of figures so much, and I love how they look here in like a shrine with the Kotobukiya mug as well. And then we just have some miscellaneous kind of edgy grayscale-esque figures. I'm not really in love with the theme here, but this is where they ended up. All right, then on the next shelf, we kind of have all of the cuties. I do want this to be like a pink, very soft and pastel shelf, but we're not quite there yet. My favorite on the shelf is the Marin here by Aniplex. And I do plan on selling one of the 2 hollows. I just can't quite decide which one, so they're both just chilling here for now. All right, on this next shelf, we start to get into some of my art books. This is where I keep my smaller art books, as well as this card captor Sakura manga. I have been really getting into acrylic stands. I love decorating my bookshelf with them, so you'll see quite a few throughout this video. One of my favorite art books on this shelf is this Girls Meet Sweets book by Sakizo. These are full of beautiful girls themed with desserts and drinks. It is so cute. Then we've just got some mugs with some bookmarks, the iconic Pikmin Piss mug, an Ozymandias by Mega House here, one of my rarer male figures in the collection. Thanks to Bai for sponsoring today's video. Bai is an online shipping proxy service that helps you buy things from Japanese stores and ships them right to your home. As you can see from my room, I have bought a ton of stuff from Japan over the years, and Bai has helped me purchase a lot of the anime figures in my collection. Bai supports a wide range of Japanese retailers such as Yahoo Japan Auctions, Rakuten, Mercari, and many, many more. You can even use the Add to Bai extension to help buy anything else you might want. Bai supports a wide range of shipping options such as DHL, EMS, FedEx, Sea Parcel, Air Parcel, and others. Bai makes shopping from Japanese sites really easy. You don't need to know any Japanese to buy from these websites, and Bai also has a ton of additional features to help you do so, such as snipe bidding, package consolidation, and the ability to add extra protective packaging. Now is the perfect time to save with Bai, given it's the holiday season and the yen is super weak right now, so you can get some great deals on anime figures. So recently I've been super into collecting gachapons, gachapons, and you can get some great deals through Buyee. You could buy the whole set of gachapons like this one for like $15. Use the link in the description down below to get 10% off of your first purchase with Buyee. Thanks again to Buyee for sponsoring today's video. Back to the room, which I'm already in. Then we have some of my manga, starting with the Jujutsu Kaisen series. Of course, I've got the Mega House lookup figures. These are so cute. I love collecting these. I have quite a lot of manga, but I haven't bought any new volumes in like a couple years. I've kind of hit capacity with my shelves, which is why I've stopped collecting. I think I might sell some of these series. I'm definitely more of a figure collector over a manga collector. Then on these bottom two shelves, these are all art books. I'm obsessed with art books. We have the iconic illustration line. These are a classic. One is released every year and it contains like a ton of different artists and it just showcases their art on each page. The newest one I have is Illustration 2024. Oh, this was their 10th anniversary. Another set of my absolute favorite art books are these two fashion illustration art books. These are the two single most aesthetic art books I own. I love these. The art in it's beautiful and the fashion in it is to die for. And down here, these are like clear files and other paper goods I collect, and then more anime art books. My favorite on this shelf, prized possession, is this Oscar Langley art book by Ask, one of my favorite illustrators ever. Gorgeous. All right, then we move on to the feature wall. I really wanted to have a feature wall of all the anime art that I really like. And so you can see I've got a lot of framed pieces of artwork. I also have like a display box over there, some can badges that I've hung up, and I've really enjoyed having these little trinket shelves. I love trinkets, and these little clear acrylic shelves are such a cool way to display them. If you've seen any of my past room tour videos, I'm obsessed with pin boards, and so I have a couple of pin boards here. Also, these four frames are slightly not aligned with everything else. I hate it. I wish I could just move it to the right, but I don't know, I put the hooks in the wall and I don't want to change it. Let's take a closer look at my trinkets though. Over here we have Trinket Central. This is a little shelf I got online, and I have color-coded trinkets. So I have little gachapons. I have a couple of like nostalgic toys that I picked up in a recent haul. I've got a couple of Riemann and Pop Mart figures here as well. I'm really embracing maximalism with all these trinkets. A couple of my past room tours, I try to keep things pretty clean, but for this room I was like, oh no, let's go ham. So same with these little shelves up here. I have basically all sorts of stuff. Acrylic stands, Pop Mart stuff, little plushies, little tiny figures, just anything that's cute and is tiny can go on this shelf legally. On the side here, I just have a little sticker wall. I love buying stickers, but I hate sticking them on things. So they're just kind of blue tacked onto a wall instead. And then I've got this pin board. I picked this up from IKEA, and this is for enamel pins where the backing card looks really nice and aesthetic, so I don't want to take it off, so they just kind of go on like that. Then on these smaller billies, right back into the manga collection. The most aesthetic spines in the manga game is probably the Fruits Basket Collector's Edition, and it goes right here because I film my B-roll in front of this shelf, and so I think it makes for a really nice background. And on this shelf, I keep my probably favorite acrylic stand ever. This is the Miku by Lamb. She looks so aesthetic. Further down, more manga, fake plant, you know, liven the space up. That's a stupid thing to say. For example, a lot of these series I probably won't finish collecting, so I should probably sell. but I just haven't quite done that yet. And then we have the Chainsaw Man look-up figures. They're so cute. Cult of the Lamb plushie. I love him. He's so mischievous. Down here, we have even more art books. My favorites on this shelf would have to be the neo-retro illustrations. So aesthetic and so colorful. This is such a yummy book. And another favorite down here is the Polaris art book. It's just some of the best kind of classic kawaii art ever. Those in the know might recognize this classic Miku prize figure, which you will see later on in the video. And moving on to the next shelf, down the bottom is my horror manga collection. I have a lot of Junji Ito here, I'm a Hero, and a couple of other horror manga down here. I love collecting horror manga. It's probably my favorite to collect, so I'd love to sell some of my other series and buy more of this. And in front of some of my horror manga, I have the cutest, these are the Shinwoo Ghost Bear like blind boxes. They do a few different series. I just think they look so cute here. At the top, colorful manga again because I filmed my B-roll in front of this shelf. Goodnight Punpun Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't know why I refer to it by its full biblical name. All right, so moving on to the last shelf. Just more random manga series. I tried to make the colors look pretty, but Chainsaw Man, a couple of shoujo manga series. We have my Yamanote line toy train, which I think is really cute. And down the bottom here, we have, yet again, more art books. A couple of really good ones on this shelf. The Mika Picasso art book is pretty old now, but I think it's so iconic. Like, there are some really good illustrations in here. This is such a good pickup. Another cool one down here is the Toy E art file. This one is full of like different horrific creatures, like original designs of different horrific creatures. This art book's kind of giving me like SCP vibes. Panning around to this side, it honestly gets pretty overwhelming. Like sometimes I look at all this and I want to throw up, but that's the vibe I was going for. Sometimes I do think it's too much, but we'll talk about what I'm gonna do next with the room at the end of the video. But over here, like I said, I have a pin board. I have a couple of like skull pandas in a display case. All my charms are on there, pins, more little display cases, and we have a milsbo here, which we'll get into in a second, and then another pin board over there. So just a lot, and we'll dive right in. So over here, we do have a pin board. I love pin board. I love collecting art from artists and enamel pins and acrylic charms and all sorts of stuff. And I love just splatting them onto a pin board. I have a couple of these acrylic charms from the My DX rhythm game. Shout out Derakuma, my man. This corner like goes crazy. So we have a little display case with some of my Pop Mart skull pandas. I'd say I only dabble in like skull pandas. I know people will take the collecting way more seriously. I got really lucky and I got a lot of the ones I wanted across the different series. So I'm actually very content with the like 12 or so that I have in here. Above that, Trinkets. Next to it, I have this acrylic stand for acrylic stands. And then a couple of figures, the iconic Mustard Girl and my first ever B-style figure, Kurisu. And then I have one of these grids for a lot of my acrylic charms. A couple of favorite ones on here is this Tamagotchi one from a Brooklyn-based artist. I'll put the name somewhere. Another favorite on here is this one, because this is from Miku Expo 2024 Australia. What's up? Miku came down under. Yeah, that was really fun. And then on the wall, I have this for displaying enamel pins. I put all my pink pins on here and I think it looks so pretty. Over here, I have a very obnoxious Pom Pom Purin neon sign, but I do love Pom Pom Purin and he's so cute here. Above that, this is a clear acrylic display case. And this has been a game changer for displaying like little trinkets. I have all sorts of trinkets in here, amiibos, pop art figures, remints. These are so old. These are like from Tokidoki. I literally bought those when I was like 13. And I'm so glad that I'm still displaying them to this day. All right, now onto all the crap on this wall. I have yet another pin board, and honestly, this is a little too much for me. I think I'm gonna take some of the prints on the other parts of the wall down. It's just like so much visual stimulation. But I do have a couple more acrylic shelves at the top for trinkets. I've got my precious Pikmin up there. I love them, shout out Pikmin. And then this display board's just like an explosion of different prints and clear files that I've got. I have all my Cospa pinch straps coming down the sides. It's a lot. On top of that, I have the Pikmin keychains hanging down from the board as well. And yeah, a lot of my enamel pins and charms and things are on display here. Now coming down, so we do have a display cabinet. This is the IKEA milsbo. This is where I keep all my Nendoroids and kind of 1/8 scale figures. I'll show you that in more detail in a second. Right next to it, I bought one of these plushie tubes and I've just filled it with plushies, and it's like my new favorite way to display like plushies. It's so cute. It keeps the dust off them and you get to like look at them. Above the milsbo, I have this display rack where I put some of my favorite can badges, a couple of Tamagotchis in there. I just bought this online to see like what I could display in it, and this kind of works well. Next to it, another display rack. This is where I keep some of my Hello Good Smile figures. I think they look really nice and cute there. And next to that, just a couple of photo frames. I've got my Asuka 3D frame thing, which looks really cool. All right, so on the top shelf of the cabinet, I do have all of my Nendoroids. I have them on these display stands so I can see multiple levels of them. And then on the right, we do have the remainder of my Hello Good Smile collection. The newest additions to this shelf are the Freerin and Fern Nendoroids in the front here, looking super cute. Then the next shelf is kind of random. I'm really not happy with it. It's just kind of where I dump stuff, but a lot of my 1/8 scale, my Kotobukiya Pokemon figures are in here. There's just the height of this means the figure needs to be pretty short to fit in here. I also have some random Haikyuu Nendoroids and acrylic stands in here. I don't really know what the vision is yet. Work in progress. And then on the bottom, I have a ton of my Sanrio and Sanex plushies. I've got a Kiroi Tori shrine going into Totoro, going into some Pokemon, Pom Pom Purin in the back, and then Code Rilakkuma and Rilakkuma on the right. So apologies, we're just going to do a voiceover for this next section because some of my audio got corrupted from the footage. But next up we have my desk. This is a pretty popular hack you can do where this is an IKEA kitchen bench and it's sitting on top of 2 IKEA Alex drawers. On the desk, I have 2 monitors and this is plugged into my PC, which I keep under the desk. And of course, all over my desk, I have a ton of desk friends. I love little trinkets. My favorite one on here is the Delicious in Dungeon little acrylic stand. To the left, I just keep some stationery supplies like different pens. I've got a couple of my favorite Miku Nendoroids here as well. I also wanted to show off a couple of these resin coasters and trinket trays that I've made. I've recently been getting into resin kind of casting and decorating, and I've just made some stuff like this, which I think is really cute. Over to the right of my desk, I have a lamp and one of my favorite figures of all time. This is the Chio figure, I believe by Fat Company. She's beautiful and gorgeous, so I like keeping her there so I can always look at her. All right, then because I can't leave any exposed wall blank, I've got more prints on this wall. I've also got another acrylic box to display even more trinkets in, and I've hung up like a couple of charms, badges, Tamagotchis on this wall. I tend to put my favorite acrylic charms on this wall, like this Rilakkuma one. I love this so much. This is like such a mood. He's such a mood. Over on the windowsill, I've got some Nendoroids as well. Lastly, you can see the edge of my anime figure collection cabinet. This is the main collection of the room. Let's take a look. All right, and along this side of the wall, like I said, this is where I keep the majority of my anime figures. I have these 2 glass cabinets. So I didn't actually get these from IKEA. They're from an Australian store, but I love that they have this kind of wooden look to them and that they're so wide. It really helps fit more figures on each shelf. Yeah, let's get into the figures. All right, so above the cabinets, I've hung up the custom sign that neonsigns.com made for me. It's so surreal that I get to hang this up in my room. And then on either side of that, I've got like a plushie line where I hang up my Sanrio plushies. Then on the top shelf here, I have some of my tallest figures. We've got a bit of a boys corner over here. The Gilgamesh figure I love. Then we've got the Attack on Titan figures. I believe these are by Kotobukiya. Then we've got my blessed Miku B-Style. She is so iconic. I love her. And then over on the right, we have another little like edgy black and red colored figures section. Just a bunch of boss bitches, basically. This top shelf here is full of some of my favorite figures ever. I've put some of the like dark, edgy, gothic-y figures here, but a lot of these are like top 10 in my collection. The Wisteria by My Ethos, one of my favorite figures ever. Jolta by Alta, legendary figure, and this is so new into my collection, but the Romelia Scarlet by Alta is stunning. I love this shelf. It was so hard to cram them all in there, but now that they all fit, it's beautiful. So this next shelf, another one of my favorite shelves ever. This is obviously my Evangelion, mainly Asuka shelf. I love the colors. I love the red and the blue. I think the Union Creative Asuka and Rei, where they come with the entry plug, is such a nice like centerpiece for this shelf. I love the 2 quarter scale Ichiban Kuji Asuka and Reis as well. I love this shelf. It's probably at max capacity now. I could maybe fit in one more Asuka figure. Probably the Alta Asuka with a jersey that's coming soon. Then third shelf down, a bit of a random one, but there's a bit of a theme of like water and blue and purple to people with blonde hair. A whole mix of figures. My favorite one on this shelf has to be the Cheshire Cat by My Ethos. This is such a gorgeous figure. And then this last shelf here is honestly like the reject shelf. This is not a very well-loved shelf. It's full of a very random set of figures. I feel like this is where the figures go just before I decide to sell them. For example, I got the new Alta Romelia, so the one that I had has now been relegated down to the bottom shelf. Yeah, I feel like everyone has their worst, or not worst, but least favorite figures on their bottom shelf. All right, so the top shelf of this next cabinet is also another one of my favorites. This is like all my fantasy / historically looking figures. I'm so surprised at the number of figures that fit on the shelf, and they're all so good. A lot of the figures on the shelf deserves a shout out, but probably my favorite here are my Ethos figures. I've got 5 My Ethos figures in here, and like they are some of the most stunning in my collection. Next up, we have a very blue looking shelf. This is of course my Miku shelf. Yes, technically there is a Jinx figure in there, but she does look pretty good among the Mikus, and they basically look the same. They both have long blue hair. Yep, I've got a lot of my Miku Nendoroids on this shelf as well. A couple of my favorite snow Mikus and racing Mikus are in here. I think my favorite little corner of this shelf is the Vampire Miku Pop-Up Parade and the matching Nendoroid. I think they look so cute over there. And honestly, this Pop-Up Parade was such an unexpectedly beautiful figure. All right, this next shelf, I feel like I've said this 3 times in this video, but this is where all my edgy figures go. This is kind of the I'm so cool I just wear black shelf. Highlights on this shelf include the Nier Automata figures by Flair, and in the front here I have the My Ethos A to Z figures. I've got 4 of them. I do not know how I fit them in there, but this is one of my favorite collections to collect. And lastly, down at the bottom, I'm going to completely flip what I said about that shelf because I have some of my favorite figures down here. I have my Binding Bunny collection down here. I like keeping them in here just because it keeps the dust off them. They are quite expensive figures. My favorite by far is the Caroline Yuri Binding Bunny figure. This was my first ever Binding Bunny and she's my favorite still to this day. One of the most gorgeous gems of my collection. I've also just got some plushies in here just to fill some of the space. It's nice to know I could get another bunny figure and fit her in here if I needed to. So this is the doorway to the room. This is how you get in. Of course, there's empty wall space. So I've got yet another little collage of art prints on here. And behind the door, I've just hung up a wall scroll. I said to myself I'd rotate this out like every month, but I don't actually do that because I'm quite lazy. And lastly, I have this storage cabinet. So that's a mirror, that's not like a whole new part of the room. So these were originally both mirror sliding doors and there's storage inside. But I did cover this one with vinyl wrap so that I could have yet another place to stick art prints. I do really like the vibe of this wall. I picked very cozy feeling prints, very like outdoorsy ones. One of my favorite prints on here is this Midsummer and Polly Pocket collab print. I don't know if you're into both of those things, it's like such a random collaboration. that does wrap up all of the sides of my room. And that is all for the room tour. I did want to self-reflect and say that I feel like this is too overwhelming and too much. I feel like I wanted to capture it in its current form just because I kind of did all this and put all this stuff up. But right after I film it, I'm gonna kind of redo this part of my room. I'd like to have more shelves because I've run out of space for anime figures. And I'm gonna take some of the stuff down so it's a little less overwhelming. Just trying to strike the right balance between having like a ton of stuff I love on display, but also not feeling like it's like suffocatingly too much pink everywhere. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I guess I will catch you in the next one. Hope you have a good week. Bye-bye.